This is a breaking news alert from 24-Hour News 8.
Tonight, 4 fugitives on the run for nearly 2 weeks have been caught in a dramatic takedown out west in Colorado.
These 2 escaped inmates and their girlfriends had our communities on edge. They are all behind bars tonight. We were the first to break the news tonight that they were busted hundreds of miles away in Canyon City, Colorado, at the budget host Royal Gorge Inn. We do know that when police stormed into the motel, they found a meth lab in the suspect's room.
We have poured all of our resources into tracking down this story. You will hear from the U.S. Marshals Service about how they caught these 4.
You'll also hear compelling interviews with an eyewitness to an arrest and the mother of one of the girls on the run.
We want to begin our team coverage tonight with Ken Kolker. He knows how the marshals caught up with these guys out west. Ken?
Yeah, Brian, it's through the Fugitive Task Force says it was just a matter of good old-fashioned police work that led them to the suspects. It started with questioning the suspect's circle of friends and determining that Colorado was among the places they might be headed. Police said they were told that one of the suspects has an acquaintance there.
When we developed further information that we thought it was likely they were headed that way, we sent the whole case file out there.
They worked with the Marshals Service in Colorado, who worked with local police, first looking for that pickup stolen in Kokomo. They never found it.
The next logical spot is, where do these guys sleep?
Then they went motel to motel in Canyon City with photographs of the suspects.
We got a hit. They set up surveillance and watched this one motel for quite some time.
That was the budget host Royal Gorge Inn. Then this evening, they arrested the 2 men without incident.
They went down without a fight.
Then they arrested the girlfriends in a stolen car on the street in front of that motel. The marshals say it appears the car was stolen somewhere in Iowa. Police say that arresting the suspects was a high priority.
These guys basically were a 4-person crime wave in West Michigan over the last week and a half. So it was, and I don't think they stopped their crime wave across the western part of the U.S. as well.
Now, the marshals say that all 4 likely will face charges in Canyon City. It's not clear when they would then be extradited back to West Michigan. Live in the newsroom, Ken Kolker, 24-Hour News 8.
Ken, thank you. We are just learning new information about a meth lab being found in that motel.
Yeah, joining us now on the phone is David Ortiz from our affiliate in Colorado. David, you have been at that motel tonight. Set the scene for us. What are police saying about that meth lab?
I just got done talking with Canyon City Police. They are still at that hotel right now. They said as those 2 men were about to enter the hotel room, that's when they were arrested. Officers went inside the hotel room and discovered the active meth lab. Now, they had to immediately evacuate that hotel, shut it down. Luckily, there were only 3 other people inside, and they say no one was hurt. But officers did want to caution these fugitives posed a serious threat to the public. They did tell us that they were armed, although they would not go into detail about what type of weapons that they did have. They also told us that all 4, they believe, arrived in Canyon City sometime yesterday. So they had been here for about at least 24 hours. Now, all 4 suspects are currently being held at the Fremont County Justice Center here in Canyon City. That's the latest information. David Ortiz reporting. Brian and Sue, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much for the live report there from Colorado tonight. We appreciate that information. Now, here is a quick look at what led to today's arrest. Kenneth Grauman and Gregory Bradshaw escaped from a halfway house in Lake County nearly 2 weeks ago. After several sightings and close calls, they escaped with their girlfriends, and then they took off to Indiana. The last confirmed sighting before today was 1 week ago in Kokomo, Indiana, and then they headed west. Tonight, we talked with an eyewitness who watched the dramatic arrest go down. And 24-Hour News 8's Tom Hillen joins us in studio with her story now. Tom?
So the woman does not want to be identified. She was in Canyon City, Colorado, and watched as police made their move. She works at a nearby business and saw the 2 girls, Laura Grauman and 17-year-old Brittany Rector, get arrested. She says police drove up behind a silver car that had 2 women in it. The woman says police had their weapons drawn and forced them out of the car. Listen to her first-hand account of what happened tonight.
Don't move, don't move a muscle, you know, that kind of thing. And then they got the passenger out and kept the driver inside. And then when they got her out of the car, then they pulled out the driver, and she was literally face down kissing the ground. And she was banded behind her back, and then her feet were banded so that she was not able to move, period.
That witness says she never saw the men arrested, but we have confirmed tonight that all 4 are in custody.
The families of the young women caught up in this mess have been wondering and watching just like you over the last few weeks. How would it end? Well, tonight, 24 Hour News 8 Steve Kelso's in Allegan talking with fugitive Laura Grauman's mom. Steve?
Yeah, good evening. We're outside of the Allegan City Police Department tonight because it was from here that Rick Hoyer, police chief here, told us first about these arrests. About 6 miles down the road here in a rural area of Allegan County lives Dawn Morse. She is Laura Grauman's mother and a distant cousin to Kenneth Grauman. She's had a sense of relief this evening. She had been concerned that things would end much worse. Good news for you tonight.
Yeah, they found her and she's not dead.
You had thought it might not turn out this way.
No, I was very afraid that they were going to call me and have me come and identify her body. It's been the worst 2 weeks of my whole life. We were all afraid it was going to end up bad.
Yeah, you know she's going to face criminal charges.
Yes. Yep, at least she's alive.
They're caught. My girl is safe. That's the Facebook posting tonight from Judith Alexa. She is Brittany Rector's mom. I attempted to contact her by phone this evening. I was greeted by a house guest at her home. She said that Judith did not want to talk to us on the phone, but they too expressed the same sense of relief. We caught up with her last Tuesday when things were very different.
He's put me through hell, and I'm ready to come back from hell, and I'm bringing my daughter back with me. And how dare you? How dare you take her? How dare you ruin her life the way you already have?
Again, we've caught up with both of these women tonight. Neither of them can tell us that they have received any word on when these 4 might be returning to Michigan. Live in Allegan, Steve Kelso, 24 Hour News 8.
Dramatic moments unfold in a Colorado town when 4 of Michigan's most wanted fugitives are caught and arrested. Our coverage continued through the night, and for the first time this morning, we're now hearing from the police chief who helped take down those armed and dangerous criminals. And 24 Hour News 8's Tom Hillens at the live desk right now with what the chief is saying about this collaborative effort. Tom.
Yes, good morning, Brett. The police chief of Canyon City in Colorado there said it took a lot of people to pull this off, and it was a dangerous situation for those involved and for his community.
Armed federal fugitives operating a meth lab is a very dangerous situation.
A danger that Allegan police told us may be a possibility a week ago in this interview with 24 Hour News 8.
I believe that there's probably methamphetamine involved. I mean, it's such an addictive drug.
Gregory Bradshaw and Kenneth Grauman were found heading into a motel room with an active meth lab. They were also found with weapons, drawing a big police presence.
At one point in time, we had over 20 police officers here.
Earlier this week, we promised to cover this big story no matter where it took us. And tonight, we're delivering on that promise.
24 Hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey's live right now in Canyon City, Colorado, where that manhunt ended late last night. We'll get a report from him in just a moment. Back in Allegan County, families of these fugitives have been on edge, wondering and worrying about how this would all end. 24 Hour News 8's Steve Kelso spoke with Laura Grauman's mother last night. He was back with her today for a frank conversation about her daughter. Steve.
Yeah, good evening, Brian. When we talked last night, we had a pretty brief conversation in which Dawn Morse told me that she was relieved that her daughter was still alive. Today, we had a very frank and very candid conversation about what Dawn Morse said was a path she was certain was going to lead to her daughter's grave. They found a meth lab in the hotel room. They found guns. They found what they're saying is a large sum of cash.
Really?
Really.
Now, the cash is surprising me, but the rest, no.
Yeah.
No.
How long had you known about the meth?
Couple years, off and on. We've had her daughter since a year ago, May.
Dawn Morse says meth ruined her daughter Laura Grauman's life, changed her into someone even her own mother didn't recognize.
A couple years ago, she got into the meth and she just changed.
Changed how?
More self-centered, more, she didn't care about anything. She just cared about what she was doing, which was getting high, I guess. There's a lot of people in my family that do it, and, you know, she's got cousins that do it and what have you.
including her cousin and co-conspirator Kenny Grauman. The family knows him as Squigs.
She loves Squigs. That's her favorite cousin, and she just, as soon as he gets out.
She's gonna do some time.
Yeah, she's gonna do some time. And that stinks, but she's alive. That's all I can say. I mean, maybe if she does some time, she'll be away from the drugs and all the drug people long enough that when she gets back out, she'll be the Laura that was so cool.
Dawn Morris also tells me tonight that she was so concerned when Brittany Reckner started coming around that she actually contacted her mother, and that Laura herself had called her mom and said, "You have to get her away from this. It'll destroy her." We're live in Allegan. Steve Kelso, 24-hour News 8.
We have followed this story across the country, and this time's no different. New at 11, our reporter in Colorado tracked down an eyewitness who watched the whole thing go down. 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey has the story.
The fugitives' run from the law ended here in Canyon City, Colorado. Our cross-country trip helped reveal new information on their cross-country escape.
There was like 8 police officers that were all stand up over here, and then the SWAT team pulled up around here.
Carl Armstrong, he himself a Michigan native, saw the end to that escape.
They were all camoed out. They had some M16s, some shotguns. They were all suited up and ready to go.
Carl works at the Burger King next door to the Budget Host Motel where Ken Grauman II, Greg Bradshaw, Ken's cousin Laura Grauman, and his 17-year-old girlfriend Brittany Reckner were hiding out. It all came to an end about 5:30 Thursday afternoon.
I really want to know what's going on. I want to see if something happens over here, because things could get bad quick.
But things didn't get bad this time. Police in Canyon were able to do what everyone had hoped, bring a safe end to the 2-week ordeal. There were times when it appeared it would not end that way. The group instigated a number of high-speed police pursuits. We learned officers in Michigan were worried about the safety of the 17-year-old Reckner, who her mother claims was under Ken Grauman's meth-induced control. Police in Colorado knew that. When U.S. Marshals asked for their help in arresting the fugitives, police waited until Ken Grauman and Bradshaw were away from their stolen car and the women, isolated in the hallway of the motel.
We put a lot of effort into strategizing how to make this arrest, using surprise, using an overwhelming amount of force, and it went just as planned.
Patrol officers spotted Laura Grauman and Brittany Reckner in the stolen car a short time later, ending the 1,200-mile manhunt. In the hotel room, officers found a meth lab, a .357 Magnum handgun, and nearly $2,300 in cash. And we're continuing to dig into court documents and find even more witnesses to bring you more information on this 2-week ordeal. In Canyon City, Colorado, Joe LaFurgey, 24-hour News 8.
We were the only West Michigan station in Colorado tonight. Big developments, and we have team coverage for you, including an exclusive interview with Laura Grauman.
We had the phone on speaker, and we just kind of went around the table, and everybody got a quick, hi, Brittany, I love you, and.
We also sit down with Brittany Reckner's mother for the first time since the arrests were made.
Live, this is 24-hour News 8.
But first tonight, potentially record-breaking rainfall for parts of West Michigan.
Winds. More on the forecast coming up soon.
Tonight, one of 4 fugitives from the law whose run from police stretched from West Michigan to the western United States is speaking only to 24-hour News 8. Laura Grauman is in the Fremont County Jail in Canyon, Colorado tonight after she, her boyfriend Greg Bradshaw, cousin Ken Grauman, and Grauman's girlfriend Brittany Reckner ran from police after the two escaped from a Lake County prison facility. 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgey has this exclusive tonight from Canyon, Colorado.
Ken Grauman II and Greg Bradshaw turned down my request for an interview here at the Fremont County Detention Center. But Laura Grauman wanted to send a message to her mother back home in West Michigan. That message, I'm sorry. Cameras and recording devices aren't allowed in the Fremont County Corrections Facility. Everything was off camera, but on the record. Laura Grauman's story is not about a romanticized Bonnie and Clyde-like cross-country crime spree, but the effect one drug can have on a life. That drug is meth, a drug Laura Grauman calls evil. Quoting here, it is. This is the devil drug just like my mom told me. Grauman says she was on meth shortly after her boyfriend, Greg Bradshaw, and cousin Ken Grauman II broke out of the Lake County prison facility 2 weeks ago. She wanted to go with them. They warned her there was no turning back. Quoting here, "Once you decide you're going, you're not going back," Grauman says the two men told her. She claims Ken's girlfriend, 17-year-old Brittany Rector, was just as willing to go along. Grauman says meth will do that to you. Then came the dramatic police chase through the cornfield near Dorr, an ultralight pilot tracking their moves. Laura Grauman told me she was scared and showed me from behind the plexiglass in the jail interview room how she crouched down on the floor of the vehicle each time they got into a chase. Yet the seriousness of what was happening hadn't hit her. Again, Grauman says meth will do that to you. Quoting here, "Right or wrong, don't matter." The fugitives had again evaded police. They eventually made it to Kokomo, Indiana, and that's where Grauman says the fact they were in big trouble finally started to sink in. They went from state to state, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska. It all became a blur. She can't recall how many vehicles they stole along the way. But Brittany was becoming scared. Quoting here, "At one point, Brittany said, 'Run, Laura, run.' But she didn't. I asked Laura why she didn't just leave. Remember the no turning back remark? They wouldn't let me. I was afraid they'd kill me," says Laura. Finally, they made it to Canyon, Colorado. Laura says her sister lived here once. She knew it was a nice place. She and Greg also had friends here. They left a message that they were on their way. They never heard back from the couple, never had any contact. Laura's convinced it was the friends who called police, something she says she's now grateful for. On Thursday, 12 days after the ordeal began, Laura and Brittany were in their latest stolen car near the motel they were using as a hideout and meth lab. Police had surrounded the car, guns drawn. "Freeze! Put your hands in the air!" And that's when I knew it was over, says Grauman. She says she feels fortunate it ended that way. "I feel like if the cops hadn't caught us, I'd be going home in a body bag." Saturday, as she sat in the interview room, she broke down in tears several times. The 4-year-old daughter she's lost custody to is one of the people she's let down. Her mother, Dawn Morris, is another. She has a message for her mother. "Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I know she didn't raise me this way, and I'm sorry." You can read more of my interview with Laura Grauman at woodtv.com. In Canyon, Colorado, Joe LaFurgey, 24 Hour News 8.
She just basically was trying to tell me, that she was okay, and she was trying to explain to me that she does go to court on Monday.
For the first time since the four were arrested, we're also hearing from Brittany Rector's mother. She spoke on the phone with her daughter yesterday. She says that she's relieved that her daughter is safe, and tonight we're learning much more about how the 17-year-old girlfriend of Kenneth Grauman got swept into this mess. Our team coverage continues with 24 Hour News 8's Steve Kelso. He's in the newsroom with that part of the story.
Brittany Rector. Is she a criminal or a victim, or perhaps both? Today I sat down for about an hour and a half with her mother, Judith Alexa, who tells me her daughter was a good girl who was led astray by people she says were criminals and drug users, people who abused and exploited her daughter.
She met Laura Lee last October.
That's Laura Lee Grauman she's talking about, cousin of Kenny Grauman, girlfriend of Greg Bradshaw, and recent friend to Brittany Rector.
The first time we met Laura, we knew right away she was too old for Brittany to be hanging around with.
And they weren't just hanging out. The 29-year-old Grauman would show up and shower at Judy Alexa's house, and she needed rides to go visit her cousin Kenny.
Laura started taking her to the jail for visitations.
Despite the fact that the 32-year-old Grauman was behind bars, he and 17-year-old Brittany began a relationship. He would send letters to the teen. Judy Alexa tried to stop them.
I couldn't do anything over the letters coming. I couldn't do anything with her going to the jail and visiting, and she's 17 years old.
Brittany Rector, who had been an A and B student, dropped out of school. She gave up softball and volleyball, and her mom began to notice other things she said was related to her daughter's increasing meth use.
You can see she's bonier. She's never been this thin.
Seen changes in her behavior?
Oh, yes.
Like what?
Just in the way she speaks to me, it's mean, very mean, and it's not her.
Judy Alexa cannot understand what her daughter sees in Kenneth Grauman, but she has an idea what he and the others saw in Brittany.
And she made money. She had a job, a job, cash in her pocket, a car to drive. They didn't. They didn't have that stuff. So by the time she met them, she didn't have nothing anymore. They took everything she had all the time.
Judy Alexa tonight acknowledges that her daughter needs to be held responsible for crimes committed. She says the family's going to have a difficult time paying for attorneys. When I asked her if she still had any fight left in her, Judy Alexa said, "When it comes to my kids, you better believe I do."